Breaking. The moment that I think you guys have all been waiting for. The San Francisco 49ers and star generational. I don't know if I'll go as far as to say generational, but star impactful Nick Bosa agrees to a mega contract with the San Francisco 49ers that makes him the highest non quarterback, the highest paid non quarterback ever. All right. Anyways, it's a lot of effing money. It's a lot of money. And I'm pretty sure Nick Bosa, the holdout comes to an end. So, what does it mean for the 49ers? What does it mean for the Pittsburgh Steelers game? We're going to get into all that and more. Appreciate everyone for tuning in right now. Make sure if you haven't already,
Like and subscribe this video.
yeah. I see everybody kind of filtering in here and they're like, man, I'm so relieved. We're back. And I'll say this, first of all, Ben Allen, back from what? All right, 49ers never left. All right, but the details are in on Nick Bosa's contract. So let me kind of read off the Adam Schefter breaking report here. All right. Nick Bosa has agreed to a 5-year, $170 million contract extension with the San Francisco 49ers, including $122.5 million guaranteed. Damn, that's a lot of money. A wide margin, it will make him the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. That's a lot of money. You can see that report right there from Adam Schefter. All right, so Bosa's paid. Now, how much is that per year? All right, because that's what a lot of people are kind of sweating, and really the guarantees is what means the most. So at the end of the day, it's a $122 million contract, but 170 million or 170 divided by 5, 34 million a year. D, that's a lot of money. People were talking about that. I think that I know he's hella rich. The Niners was talking about trying to come in at like 31 million. People were talking about like, oh well, they made him a significant offer, 31 million or whatever. He said, man, fuck that. I want it all. Sean in the chat, Sean Mosley said, them Bucks, Ohio. Yeah, that's a lot of money, man. So clearly, Nick Bosa's paid, and you don't have to worry about him. You'll figure out what the long-term ramifications of it is. I say that because I was on 95.7 the game this morning, and they were asking me about Nick Bosa. And I said, look, everybody at one point in their time has lived paycheck to paycheck. And y'all know when you live in paycheck to paycheck, the one thing that takes priority over everything else is the damn rent, right? The rent is due, and then you'll figure out how to pay everything else. Right? You'll figure out how to move some things around, pay your Netflix bill, pay your cell phone bill, and all that, right? Well, Nick Bosa is the rent. All right, so when Nick Bosa is up and he needs to be paid, like pay him. And you'll figure out the others. You'll figure out the Brandon Ayuk and the Kyle Juszczyk and can I continue to keep guys like George Kittle, whatever. Figure that out down the line. But I know who needs to be paid, and that's Nick Bosa. And I'm going to tell you why. All right, I'm going to tell you why. And if you are just now coming in here, Nick Bosa got paid big bucks. All right, highest paid defensive player in the history of the NFL. All right, but this is why. I was just on Locked On Steelers, right? Did the crossover episode. Myself, Brian Peacock did the crossover episode, all that good stuff, right? And the more I thought about like just the impact of Nick Bosa and why you really need him on the field, he literally he affects the 49ers entire game plan, not just on defense, not just the D line. He affects everything, including your offense, right? Like that's how impactful he is to the San Francisco 49ers. So what do I mean by that? Like, how does the defensive end impact the offense as well? Let's break it down. First of all, on defense, obviously he's tremendous. He's great in the run game and obviously, in the pass getting to the quarterback. So you don't have to worry about him there. But if you remove him, right? And first of all, what you have to do with him, you got to double him. You have to give him more attention. You have to chip him before your running backs leave the backfield. You have to chip him before, even if your running back isn't going out of the backfield, or if it's a tight end or whatever. You have to really throw a lot of bodies at him. I remember he got a sack last year against the Miami Dolphins where they threw 3 bodies at him before he was able to get to the quarterback. 3, okay? You remove him, all right, now you're talking about One, who the hell is the edge rusher coming in for him? Two, now the interior guys start to get doubled. Those guys that are doubling move to the next level. Now you got bodies on Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw who aren't coming in clean now. All right. So you're struggling against the run. Now, versus the pass. All right. They start doubling up on Hargraves and just be like, all right, we'll leave Cleveland Farrell 1-on-1 and Drake Jackson 1-on-1. We'll double Hargraves and anybody else that needs attention, we could do that. You have more time to throw the ball. What does that do? Right now, 49ers, they don't have a lot of special guys on the back end. They have good guys, like they have good football players. They got playmakers, but they're not special in the sense of like just the overall athleticism, right? Like who's that 6'1", 200-pound, 4'3" guy on the outside or 4'3" guy on the back end? 49ers don't have those guys. So you need somebody really pushing that pocket right now, moving the quarterback off of his spot to where now his clock starts to get sped up a little bit. Maybe he has to throw the ball before he wants to. And now those guys that are playmakers back there, like Gibson, who has 32 career interceptions, like Hufanga, who was first team All-Pro last year, now they just get to kind of sit back and be the playmakers that they are. If you don't got that pass rush in there, it starts to affect that. So in turn, the 49ers ultimately eventually give up more points per game. So 49ers giving up more points per game, what does that mean? Well, now the offense has to score more. And I know the 49ers have tremendous players all over the offense. But one, you have a quarterback in Brock Purdy who's still limited playing time, like at the NFL level. How much pressure do you want to put on him to where it's like, yeah, you have to go score, right? Like last year, it was like, okay, we're comfortable. Okay, defense keeps giving us the ball back. Okay, we're set up. We got a good field position. You don't have to go out there and be the guy. Just get to these playmakers. They're going to get the ball in space. They do well. Like, that's cool. But when your defense, if they're giving up points, now all of a sudden there's just this added pressure to everything that you do offensively. And Kyle Shanahan, I don't know if y'all noticed, but he leans heavily on the defense. Heavily on the defense. Like the way he calls games, the way he plays, the way he coaches is all predicated on how well is this defense playing. So I say all that to say this 5-year, $170 million and $122 million guaranteed that Nick Bosa just got, worth every penny. Worth every penny. You got to figure out everybody else on the fly. All right. Whatever ramifications happen off of that, figure it out. Again, if you weren't in here to hear my analogy, I talked about it like rent. All right. And everybody that has ever lived paycheck to paycheck, or you know how it is. You got tough times, whatever. You make sure the rent's due. You make sure the rent's paid first, and then you figure out your other bills. And Nick Bosa was the rent, and you had to pay him, and then you figure out all the others. You figure out how that's going to affect you keeping guys like Eric Armstead or whatever. Do you need to renegotiate contracts down, like whatever? But get Bosa's deal done first, and they got it done, and it's a hell of a lot of money. It is a hell of a lot of money. Now, 49ers do have a game to play this Sunday, and Nick Bosa has not been there. I just had Coach Desi on. We went live a little bit earlier. If you haven't checked that out, or which I know most of y'all probably haven't yet, but Coach Desi was on there, and we were talking about soft tissue injuries, right? And that's the one thing that I've been worried about this whole time. I think we know who Nick Bosa is and how he prepares. He's going to be ready to go, but you can only prepare so much, all right, to where you're not at risk with some of these soft tissue injuries. So you can push yourself, you can work out, you can lift weights, you can do those things, you can run hills, you can run sprints, you can do all those things. But that doesn't automatically make you ready, like in the sense of, I got to play a game and I can play 60 snaps, right? Like it doesn't really prepare you for that. You haven't really been able to push your body at this 100% mark or anything close to that when you're training on your own. I talked about when I was at junior college. When I was in junior college, we ran 40-yard dashes. It was the fastest 40-yard dash I ever ran in my life. Why? Because we were actually running against someone else. We kind of cheated a little bit. All right. I ran a 4.46. I ain't no 4.4 guy. But I ran a 4.4 because I was racing against somebody else. So I'm competing. That raised the level of where I was able to get. When you're running by yourself, you don't get that. When you're training by yourself, you don't get that. So I love it. You bring him in. Is he going to be on the snap count? Now you don't want him to get hurt. You don't want to risk injury. You don't want the soft tissue injuries. And that's something that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. How do they utilize him? Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. Looking in the chat now, we got Brandon Vincent. It was really interesting hearing Kendrick Bourne talking about how the Patriots prioritize hydration to limit soft tissue injuries. Yep, that's got something to do with it too. All right, here we go. We got Mock Devillian. He says, glad they paid him though. He's the heart of the defense, him and Warner. And again, I think he's the heart of the team in the sense of his importance and how he really affects both sides of the ball. This team will be strapped for cash. Hey, they'll figure it out. You got a young quarterback that's on a rookie deal. So while he's on that rookie deal, start to figure out how you can maneuver things down the line. But as of right now, everybody's paid. They figured out a way to make things fit. There will be a cap casualty. I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to keep Brandon Ayuk. All right, so he's in year 4 now, and next year he will have his 5th-year option. After that, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. You're probably going to lose Ayuk or Debo. And they better stop they keep drafting like these 6th-round guys. You got to go get a guy. We'll get a guy. This year, 49ers have all their picks, right? 1st round, 2nd round, probably multiple 3rd rounds. I think they got multiple 5th rounds, whatever it is. Go get you a legit receiver because you're likely going to miss Debo or Ayuk. I don't know which one, but one of them will probably have to walk. So get a guy now that you start to really like. If you had to guess who won't be here after this deal, Brandon Ayuk. If I had to guess. It is going to be Debo or Ayuk. You might lose a guy like Kyle Juszczyk. All right. You start cutting money a little here and there where you can. And if you told me they lost Kyle Juszczyk, but they drafted that Swiss Army knife out of Florida State. What's that kid's name out of Florida State, though? Do you remember? Man, shoot. Bill? I think his name was Bill. Something Bill. Draft him. I wouldn't be mad at all. I don't know how smart he is, but I know he's a terrific Swiss Army knife. That's one thing about Kyle Juszczyk. Like, he's hella smart. I mean, not just because he went to Harvard, but what he does for the 49ers offense. Sometimes he kind of sets the blocking assignments. If there's guys blitzing and things like that, he'll alert the quarterback. So he's really smart, understands the offense. What do I see right here? Oh, he said, wow, Parsons deal going to be crazy. The market has been reset. Yep. We got Adrian here. He says, Ronnie Bell, because I was talking about how the 49ers are going to have to find a receiver. Ronnie Bell is solid. And again, maybe he will be. Y'all know me. I'll never tell y'all what a guy can or cannot be or won't be. Yeah, that's the Michigan kid. I think he's solid. I don't know if he's ever, again, maybe he will be, but I don't know if he's ever going to be the guy where you're like, oh yeah, we got Debo Samuel and we got Ronnie Bell. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's how you might say it because that's who you have, but in the sense of like just feeling really confident with what you have at the receiver position, I don't know. I think Ronnie Bell is always going to be like the other, right? Like the Jawan Jennings. Jawan Jennings, he has a role in this team, like terrific run blocker. Can he move the sticks on 3rd downs? Like, that's cool. Kendrick Bourne, he was that guy. Those guys eventually end up being kind of expendable in comparison to guys like Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, where you have to really pour resources in to replacing those guys. So Ronnie Bell is solid, but you said what? But Kyle Shanahan doesn't really like the big contested catch receivers. So we talked about that the other day where Kyle Shanahan, the type of receivers that he likes, he looks for what you do. Is there a specific role for that in how he views his offense? So it's not so much that he doesn't like big receivers. Obviously, we see Jawan Jennings in the slot, and he has a specific role for him. Essentially, he's kind of this move tight end or a flex tight end, right? Like a guy who, hey, man, I'm going to run some quick outs. I can run a slot fade every once in a while, maybe run a little slant, but I'm going to block my ass off, right? And I'm going to get my 25 catches. It's not like Jawan Jennings has this massive role in the passing game, but obviously just kind of what he does overall, Kyle Shanahan values that. There's a kid going crazy at Florida State the other day I was watching, and he had 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards, 6'4", 215, and it's like, look how he's winning. A lot of his contested catches, That's not what Kyle Shanahan typically prioritizes. I don't think when he looks at his offense is like, who can I throw the ball up to and them just catch the ball? Like that's not. It's like he's creating windows, catch the ball, run after catch opportunities. Ayuk will get his extension too. Maybe Ayuk does get his extension, but there's really not a whole lot of money out there for the 49ers. So I'll bring up this tweet from my guy Dave. All right. And this was the other day. I'll end up sharing my screen so y'all can see this as well. But he talked about where the money's going for the 49ers. And you potentially can extend Ayuk after this Bosa signing, but it's not going to be easy. All right, it's not going to be easy. So let me kind of look for this tweet. He had a tweet and he kind of talked about the numbers for the San Francisco 49ers. Some of these players that are on these big contracts and are due a lot of money. You know, some of these contracts are like backloaded. So where is it? Where is that tweet? I thought I retweeted it, but maybe I didn't. All right. But here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I found it. So let's pull this up. We're going to present it. I'm going to share my screen with y'all here. We got Dave here. And boom. So his tweet, Christian McCaffrey's backloaded money kicks in next year. That's $28 million cap hit through 2025. All right. You got Deebo Samuel's hit, $28 million. That's this year. George Kittle over the next couple years, $48 million through 2025. That's a lot of money. Trent Williams still remaining on his deal, 4 years, $120 million. Eric Armstead, 2 years, $50 million. That's a lot of money. You also signed Warner, made him the highest paid linebacker in the NFL for a time period. You signed Hargraves. We know he's making north of $80 million. You got Travarius Ward. I think you can kind of get rid of him. He could eventually be a cap casualty. And then you got to pay Nick Bosa. And he says, can you pay Nick Bosa? Well, clearly they can. But the next question was, how are they going to sign Ayuk? And Dave says they probably aren't. All right. So those are things that potentially can kind of get in the way of getting a guy like, Brandon Ayuk. Maybe they get the extension done. But there is a lot of money that the 49ers are paying to their big dogs, as they should. You got big dogs, got a young quarterback. He's cheap. Hell, you're paying your quarterback down there pennies compared to the rest of the NFL and what they're paying quarterbacks. So you got to figure out how to work around them right now while your quarterback is cheap for sure. They will be over the cap next year. Well, at some point you got to get under the cap to start the season. So I expect them to get under, but how are they going to get under the cap? I have a suspicion that Brandon Ayuk will not be traded to the Cowboys. Just saying. I hope not. And Dallas Cowboys, they have Brandon Cooks. They got CeeDee Lamb. They got Michael Gallup. They got some guys over there that do a really good job. So I don't want them. I do not want the Cowboys to have Brandon Ayuk, and I don't think that be a trade that is happening. People actually think that Sam Darnold beat out Trey. Nope, he's going to be clearing up cap space for Bosa all along. I don't know. Look, Mook, I do not think that's what the situation was. I think it was just, all right, go somewhere else. I think that's what it was. Croc, why have the Niners not looked at Greedy Williams, young corner with the DB coach? Greedy Williams, first of all, is he a free agent right now? I would ask this, Sean. Why have other teams not looked at Greedy Williams? If Greedy Williams is still a free agent at this point, why is that? That should be the question you're asking. How long is CMC under contract? We just showed Dave's kind of breakdown of the 49ers contract guys, but Christian McCaffrey's backloaded money kicks in next year. $28 million cap hit through 2025. So he's under contract for the next 2 years. That's what it sounds like. We got Chef in the chat. He says Steelers 24, Niners 13 with a missed extra point. I hear you, Chef. That's the chef from South Park. Damn, every 90 media personality on the planet is live right now. Well, hey, forget them being live. Y'all live with me right now. We got over 400 people in here. Make sure y'all hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm actually going to get off soon. I didn't come on here to just talk and ramble for a long time. But again, if you didn't see this whole thing, I talked about how just how important Nick Bosa is, and not just to the defensive line, how important he is to the linebackers, how important he is to the DBs, and how important I feel like he is to Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, and the offense as well. It's this trickle down effect not having him on the field. So I'm really glad that they got this done. I think it was needed. I think the 49ers realized that. But my question to them is, why the fuck did it take so long? Why couldn't this get done earlier? Why were you trying to play a hardball with him the way you were? Croc, lace him up for a season. We need you out there. Unless the 49ers are playing cover two, they probably don't want Crocky out there. But all right, man, that's going to do it, man, for this episode. Appreciate all y'all in the chat right now. Again, Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you download the app or go to underdogfantasy.com. Use promo code Crocky. They'll double your deposit up to $100. They got some nice little plays in there right now. Is Brock Purdy going to throw for more than 211 yards? I think so. Get in on that. Underdog Fantasy. Appreciate everybody in the chat right now. We'll be live again tomorrow morning. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all, man. And y'all have a great day. Till then, I'm out. Peace.